Billy from the group was there, so I did catch up with him. And then he said, "Oh, do you mind looking at some funnels?" And we organized a time to meet the next day, but he didn't turn up the next day, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Nick, what was it? What was the name of the show?
It's this one here. It's
Digital Marketers Australia. Yeah.
Digital Marketers Australia here. I'll share the link. It's run by a guy
How
called
does that
Stephen.
work, Nick? Were you paid to present, or do you get?
No. I know because so he's one of the few people that I don't ask for any money from because back when Leadshook was non-existent, he actually gave me a platform to come and present to his group back when no one knew me. So so I kind of have a special place in my heart for him. That's Stephen there. He's the founder. And so whenever he asked me, it's like, "Hey, do you want to present?" I said, you tell me the topic you want, and I'll turn up. So yeah. So goes without saying, I pay him back with a session whenever he asks me. So it's been running since about 6-7 years now. I've presented about 3 times. The last 3 years I didn't present, but he's actually in the Leadshook group actually. So he sees the post I do. And he goes, "Your shit just goes over my head all the time." So that's why I want you to present.
How many attendees, Nick?
This one was about 600 or 700 people.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's decent. It's for Australia. It's decent. He does it twice a year. He does one in Melbourne, which is where this one was, and then he does one on the Gold Coast, which I believe is a little bit smaller. But they're the 2 places he does it. And he was telling me next year, instead of Melbourne, he's going to do one in Sydney, which is where I live. So he's going to move them around Australia a bit. He's come up with a new one. It's called Marketers Australia. So he wants to go for the enterprise market. So this one here gets more agency type people. That one he's hoping to get more enterprise type, corporate type people. So, but I'll give you guys posted because whenever these things happen, he'll probably reach out to me anyway. And if something happens, I'll share with you guys if there's anything worth your while to look at. Yeah. So, but it's a nice way to kind of connect with a lot of people, and also you get to see sort of like what everybody else is doing. There's some interesting presentations. There were a lot of like very technical SEO presentations, so which was interesting to sit on. So I picked up a few extra nuggets on the SEO side. So so I'm talking to my SEO guy to see what we can deploy on our end. So that was interesting. So so this guy here, he does like casinos and all that kind of stuff. So very, very interesting his approach. This guy here, Bree. So Bree deals with really large scale US based people like so crypto, casinos, all that stuff. So obviously he's playing on the bleeding edge because there's no other way for them to get traffic. Like paid traffic is somewhat limited in his world because he just can't run ads for too long with that stuff. So SEO is the only option available to those people. So he's on the cutting. Shared some interesting things, but what I didn't like is that he kept saying, but I won't go into the technical detail here. And I'm like, no, I want you to go to the technical detail here because otherwise just sharing stuff that I really can't execute. I suppose in his way, it was more sign up for my services, I guess. This guy here also does high-end like retailers and stuff. So sort of like your Walmart type equivalent, but the Australian equivalent. And right now he's going with I think it's an online gaming, if not online poker kind of a site. I think that's what that EasyGo. So he's the SEO lead on that side now. Once again, there's another industry that really can't have paid traffic or not to a large extent. So he was sharing how they go about doing it. Yeah, so it was interesting to learn the other side of it. Right. So going back, I'll just read because I forgot to press the record button. So let's revisit what the issue is here. We are looking at exit pops, and here's a working example. Hopefully, if I refresh this page here, it should pop up again. There you go. So in this case, obviously, what I would do in this case is DT, make it refresh. So make sure you set up that option. So what I should do is come here, go into details. I don't know if anybody knows this, but you can actually select the option to restart the decision tree every time. That is a preferred option in most cases. I'll see if I can quickly save it. Will it let me? Yep, I think this account will. Right. And I'll do the exit pop again. just to show you what it looks like. All right. Okay, let's refresh this. Okay, cool. Oh, for some reason it's still doing that. Anyway, it should go have the first question. Maybe I'll just do that. And it's validating. All right, cool. Submit and thank you. All right, let's try that again. All right. Perfect. All right, cool. So what you want to do is obviously not do what I'm doing here, because this is a demo only. Separate these as two separate nodes. Obviously having the more appropriate question about why am I leaving and so on and so forth. Get that answer out, and then would you like us to reply? If I say no, then it goes to the thank you page. If it says yes, then it asks for your name, email, phone number, whatever else there is to contact you. So you can say, well, I don't really want to go through your funnel. This was the question I had. And so so the main purpose of getting these answers here is to see if your ads are hitting a different part of the buying continuum, where you are down the process. So you're at sales conversion side, but the people that are coming through are more like, hey, I'm just looking at solar. I'm not quite ready to buy solar yet. So they leave a message with you saying, hey, listen, I'm just investigating the options. So that might give you some indication, like, you know what, that our ads need to be a little bit more downstream, a little bit more, sales rather than less just generic information. So that way we can tweak the audience a little bit and bring into the funnel people who are more likely to be at the spectrum of conversion, or by knowing that your ads are really working well. And now you have set up a backend nurture sequence. So you know that this person is probably not going to convert, or there's a group of audience that's coming inside it. You can take that feed data back, go back and change the DT itself. So you can add a couple more questions here, something along the lines of, how ready are you to buy? Is this, where are you in the buying sequence? How many installers have you spoken with? So on and so forth, more relevant indications, because I'm assuming that your sales team would know that, generally speaking, before someone signs up to a product or service, they have certain behaviors before they buy. And it could be that they talk to 3 installers before they buy, and so on and so forth. If that's the case, you can really put that question right in the middle, saying, have you spoken to at least, an installer, or have you done whatever that behavior is? Yes and no. If it says yes, then they're kind of like, down the funnel, sales lead. No, let's put them on a 7-day nurture sequence so we can educate them to that process. And so we did this in a funnel that I did with John McCarthy. He did all the work. It was for a weight loss funnel in this case, for a medical doctor, for gastric band, or one of those operative procedures for weight loss. And we created, so when I shared with him what he can do, I think, and then he went and created 9 different branches. Based on how you answered the questions, you got different automations. And as you, excuse me, as you showed certain behavior in that automation, you would graduate towards the next path in the automation. So it's almost like an automation that graduated you to other automations until the last one was, hey, are you qualified to book a call with a doctor? Because the offer, I believe, the product was a $10,000 or $15,000 product. After a while, I think they added in financing as well. So they're like, hey, do you need financing for your weight loss? And so they kind of packaged in a finance deal, and the doctor, I believe they made quite a bit of money on the financing side as well, because obviously people are desperate by the time they get to gastric band surgery, and that did really well. In fact, it did so well that the pharma company contacted him saying, hey, can we borrow license, or I don't know, whatever it was on the funnel. I don't know what came out with that, but would have been nice to get a royalty deal with a pharma company. I'm not sure what he did with that data point, but that would be something I'd be looking at if that was still on offer. Okay, there was a question here from Josh. Oh, sorry, before I move on, Paul, does that answer the question?
Yeah, answers. Cheers, Nick.
Okay, no worries. Awesome. All right, impression. How do we get the impression URL to use on decision nodes? Tracking shows the URL of the but not where it's embedded. Seems to be okay. Yeah, cool. Right, Josh, I think I'll use my memory here. I believe it's this one here. It's either that one or let me just make sure I got that right. It's the either that one or second. No, it's definitely not that one.
There is the embed URL, but it's not grabbing the
Okay,
URL
and the
that it's
reason why I wouldn't be
embedded
doing
into.
that is probably because I've seen that in the past. It could be because a bot is spoofing, and those sort of reasons could be another one. In case, but you know what? Leave it with me. Let me just make a note of that, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. We've got custom scripts that allow you to do that as well. So what I'll do is I'll just give you the custom script to grab the URL. Essentially,
I
what you
also
do
noticed
is
on the
yeah.
impression
So
URLs getting rid
yes.
of it as
What you
well.
want to do is you want to do this actually. I'll share with you so that this is for the benefit of everybody else. If you go into functions, if you go into website functions, this is what you can put on your third-party page. So it'll be an LH set field, which is different to the DT set field. So DT set field is inside LeadSook. LH set field is where you send the information from your underlying page into LeadSook itself. So you would add a script on Unbounce, WordPress, whatever your page is. And then once you've grabbed that on that page, you would just send it across here. So if, for argument's sake, if Unbounce has got a custom field or that captures their page URL, you can just add that page URL here. So in your case, it would be whatever, like parent URL or whatever custom field you want to give. You want to add that here, and you want to put that field here, and LeadSook will automatically save that in that field. That's the best way to do it if it's embedded.
Okay, that makes
Cool.
sense.
Yeah. So that's would be the answer to that question there.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions? We've got
I got a
Tarek.
question.
Hey, yeah, Jonathan, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Just wanted to know, last week we went over like how to upload a database into LeadSook. You told me
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you asked that because I have a working example.
because we tried, and apparently the second method you said, which you said you will do, was not working. So I don't know, my dev did not give me.
Cool. Right. Okay. Cool. So there we go. All right. So let's see if I have that here. Just quickly bring that up here. Where did it go? Right. It's probably a better place to go. There you go. Right. Okay. So we have Sheets. So this is the using Google Sheets as your database. If I go under tools or extensions, I should say, under app scripts, there's the script right there. And inside the Facebook group, let's go here. We had crap, what was his name again? It was I'm gonna make a meal of this. Where is he? He is here. He is here. I've got some pending questions, so I'll answer those tomorrow. Right here. Nope. Nope, not that one. There you go. This one here. Cool. So I'll share the excuse me. I'll share the post here because I shared the actual prompt right here. So if I click this prompt, and I also shared the Loom video on what I did. So there's the if I just click that, it should probably show the There you go. Right. So there's the you can see me prompting. That's the initial prompt I started with, and then so on and so forth. I found some issues, and I can see you can see me modifying these scripts here. But basically, the final version was this one here. So that's the one that I've taken and copy and pasted it right over here, and that turns this into a database. The Google Sheet itself will give you when you go to publish it. So when you publish this, if I go to deploy, oops, if I go deploy here, new deployment, what it does, it gives me a destination URL, right? And so that's the URL that you would use inside here. Like so, right? So you would use that inside. Let me see if I can, where I added that in. Okay, I'm going to add that right now. Let's do that. Okay, I'm going to deploy this. So let's deploy, new deployment. Yep, v3, anyone deploy. There you go. That's the URL right there. Now, before I go and deploy that inside LeadSource itself, let me just quickly bring up an app that you use. I use Insomnia. It's a free app where it allows you to, let me just load up, allows you to test this before you go live with it. That's the URL that reads the database, basically. So let's come over here, right there. So I'm going to replace this. And replace it with the new script that I just got, copy, paste. So that's my webhook there. It's searching for lead ID 123, your first name, John, yada, 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 so on and so forth. If I go and do a send, it actually goes and it reads the thing saying, yep, fake lead is true, as in duplicate lead is what I meant, not fake lead. Fake lead is true. That's the parameter that I wanted to return. And now I can do something with it. So what I would do inside LeadSource itself is I would grab that right there, copy. Now that I know that it works, then I want to take that inside LeadSource itself. So come over here and put that right like so. In your case, you will replace this with the fields. Obviously, it'll be like a first underscore name. I mean, you get the idea. That's what it would be in your case. Obviously, you're going to have this node after the details have been received. Or whatever details you're searching for. Obviously, in my case, I'm searching for first name, last name, and all that. If you're using for like, size of the roof, or using, I don't know, some other postcode or some other metric, then you place the node in the respective place, just making sure that you've captured the value that you want to use inside your webhook or your API call, I should say, after it. Yeah, I know it's kind of like sounds obvious, but you've got no idea how many support tickets we get. We're like, hey man, it doesn't work. And like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to search for first name, and this node is sitting right at the top of the DT. You haven't even received the first name yet. So that's the reason why I mentioned that. So I'm just going to put whatever the value was. It was John, right? So I'm going to put John here, like so. And then if I just do the test URL like so, it'll bring back. So it looks like looks like we have an issue. Do we? Let me just make sure. Yep, post URL 200. Yep, it's not popping up here. Let me just make sure I get this right. No, it should work. All right, let's do test again. Nope, error. Okay, hang on a second. What happened here? There's an error message here. Right, I'm gonna fix this up and give you the correct version of it. But basically, what happens is as you can see here, it replies with this, and now I can capture fake lead equals true into a custom field. That's what the field mapper. I need the field mapper to pop up, but something's wrong with the response. That's okay. I'll get that sorted out shortly. And what that does is it is a no, sorry, my mistake. There you go, silly mistake. All right, test request. It should be a get, not a post. All right, perfect. There you go, done. I go to field mapper, and I will map this field with whatever that is. So let's say, for example, if I'm not gonna just use anything. Let's go UN UN1 maybe. Let's see if there's a oh, crap. What is all this? Okay, let's go. Let's say that's my field for fake values, and I'm gonna add this for what the detail was. The reason why, okay, so this is not really necessary in this example is because it doesn't affect whether it's a fake lead or not, or was a duplicate lead or not. But it does make a difference if you ever want to troubleshoot something. Like, why was it a duplicate? Did something go wrong with my script or something? So that allows you to easily troubleshoot. So I would save this into another custom field. So that custom field will include the variables that were found to have matched. So John was matched. So first name was matched, last name was matched, email was matched, and IP address was matched. Right. So they're the things that got matched, and that would means that you're like, okay, cool. So what actually was matched, and you can actually see more specific details. I'm just gonna go UN1 again. This time go juggler, whatever this field was created for, and done. So there you go. So that value in this that came back is saved in this custom field. Obviously, you name it much better name for the purpose of speed. We're doing it this way. And then what I would do is then in this example, I would go, is this example lead? So I would you use that field here, UN1 there is was it true or false? What was it? It's true. So there you go. It goes true. Oops. TRU. Help if I can type T. Oh, you know what? It's a freaking number field. But it's basically say is true should be available here. That's a number field. All right. So anyway, so then that'll be available as true. So I'm just gonna put that as our, and then that means that you make an API call to a Google Sheet, it comes back with this value, you save the value to custom fields, and then the custom field is then used here as a way to filter to say like, yep, that's a fake lead or a duplicate lead or whatever the question you're trying to resolve, and this is the path where it is a duplicate, and that's a path where it's not. Now I've also added this in here, where now you will want to update that as well, which I didn't do inside my prompt, but you basically go here and build on the prompt a bit further, where I'd say, hey, listen, I also want to update that same Google Sheet with another line. And when I find a duplicate lead when I find a lead that is not on the Google Sheet, so now so what happens over time is this sheet here keeps getting more and more lines in it, and they only get added in if they're not a duplicate. If they're a duplicate, they go down this pathway. So what happens is, now what you do is you would take this path and you would either disqualify it. So just say, hey, DQ, but you would present something more appropriate, saying, hey, thank you so much for your message. We'll get in touch with you, but no one's going to get in touch with them because it's a duplicate lead. Or you would sell to somebody else, or you'd redirect to another funnel, or you would whatever. That's you decide what you do with your dupes or your fake leads, or whatever the criteria that you're trying to split for. So that is a good working example of how you would end up using Google Sheets, including the prompt that I created to be able to do the search. As you can see here, it's not much to it. The most important part, obviously, is this bit right here. Just copy and paste that into whatever you're trying to do. Make sure you change it to whatever your requirements are, and usually kind of gets it right. As you can see here, I only went back and forth just a handful of times, and it gave me back the right result as expected. I do recommend that you download Insomnia. I do a lot of detail in Techie SOS and Tracking SOS, the courses where I showed how to end up using this. But the main goal basically is to test switch. So you don't waste your time inside leads of going, man, you want to isolate, is your API call working as expected? And obviously, if it doesn't work here, then it's not going to work inside leads hook. So you want to make sure that you just remove the testing part. It's much easier to test, right? Oh, it went wrong. Great. Let's just update that. Do that again. Oh yeah, that worked, or whatever. And it also tells you how long it takes. So it says 2 seconds. So you're like, you know what? 2.3 seconds. That's a long time. I want to do something about that. So what I can do now is I can come here and I can add a transition mode at the top. So I can come here. Where's my transition mode? Somewhere here. If I can find it. There you go. I'll end my transition node here. Maybe add that in. You can add a custom field. So you can actually add a custom field in. So you can go first underscore name, looking for a great, deal for you, or whatever, however you want to frame it. It does not need any seconds. You can put it at 0 and done. And it'll wait for the response. So if it's 10 seconds, it'll wait for 10. If it's 5 seconds, it'll wait for 5. If it's 1 second, it'll wait for 1. So that's would be the other way to do it. So now what happens is after you fill out the form, the user does not have to wait for 2 or 3 seconds. They'll just see like that spinning wheel and a message. So they know, hey, you know what? I just need to wait, which is a great user experience rather than forcing them or rather than leaving them in the lurch. 2.3 seconds is not a long time. It's doable, but for argument's sake, let's say if over time your database does grow a bit and it starts extending to 4 or 5 seconds or something, then you would potentially need to cater for that. I'd rather just do it on day one. That way, should performance deteriorate or if it's choppy, you would not have to worry about it because they'll immediately see this option pop up. Jonathan, does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure let me explain you again. Remember last week I told you we have like an auto insurance website that we want to start, and there is a big database of all the auto.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I answered the wrong question. The drop down option.
Yes, so
Yes.
I believe we tried to do it, but there was an issue on your end that your tech support was supposed to get back to us. I don't know. My dev
Okay,
is
all right,
still-
okay. You know what? I'll follow with them, but basically we've done some fairly complex ones. So let me show you what I mean. If I go and if I select drop down here. Nope. It'll help if I select the right option. Drop down. Nope, that's age group. Okay. Maybe in the answer one, I'll have a drop down for your cars. There was a car option, wasn't it? Yep. Right, it's filtering. Okay, perfect. There you go. So we've got, let's say, car models. Let's have a look at that. Continue. So there you go. Car value. It's a parent value. So in this case, we have, the Toyota models. And the parent is car make. So I would select the car make first, and then would present so the parent value with Toyota. If I pick Toyota, then I'll see 4Runner, Orion, Camry, and Prius. If I pick Bentley, then I'll see Azure, Continental, and Spine Fleur. So that is how you'd want to do it. Now, if you want to bulk import it, then you just got to make sure that you have your value, your label, and your parent value. So maybe that's what the issue was. So in your case, you would to add a parent separate. Oops, sorry. I should probably to add a parent. You want to separate it with a pipe like that. That'll what do you call the straight line option. So that is how you want to end up doing it. So in your case, it would be, let's say, Toyota. Oh, no, Toyota is the parent, so we would add that in. You would put Toyota on this side, and then you would put whatever the model was here. And then, so model A, whatever that is, and then obviously you'd, if it was you were having another model, then you would have model 2, that, and Toyota right here. Now you can go a few levels deeper. So let's have a look at the year one. I did see there was an year one here. Let's see. The year has got the car models as its parent. So after you pick the car model, then you get the year popping up. And that obviously doesn't have a specific. You could actually, I mean, if you wanted to, you could have that a certain model is only available in a certain year. If you wanted to go down that road. In this example, we're not doing that. We're just showing every year to every car model. For example, let's say if a Prius is only from, let's say, the year 2005 or something, then you theoretically could add in years for every make and model. I'm not sure if that's worth it. It's probably a bit of an overkill. That might as well just, I mean, everyone knows what year they're buying. So you can just start with this way. And so what the order does here is when you finally add it into the car make and model, that's how the order in which this one would work. It was you get a car make, car model, and year. And that's how this drop down works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I believe there was a technical issue on you and that support was supposed to get back to it. They had to do a fix. So I don't know if you don't know
Okay.
anything
All right.
about
Okay. You know what? There could be something. All right. Let me. I'm just gonna add a note here for myself, and that way, perhaps something happened during the port to B2. Leave that with me. I'm gonna. I'm gonna come here. Add a note. Okay, is an issue with conditional drops. Oops.
I mean, I can forward you the ticket if you want.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'll have access to it. Yeah, I'm sure if there was an issue, there's probably a question sitting there for the dev team there. So I'll just quickly look at our channel and just see what chat's been happened. Is there an issue with the conditional drop downs? All right. Right. So let's. Yep. Cool. Leave that with me. I will get back to the team right away and get back to you. But basically, in a nutshell, that's how you set it up. So it should be working. I'm not sure what technical issue would have come across, but that's okay. We'll get to the bottom of it. I'll get back to you very shortly. It's a feature everybody uses, and it's already been used in version 2 by quite a few people. So I'm surprised if it does not work. But whatever your question is, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Quick question. Just that you have like some post about trusted form having issue. Is that a big percentage of the leads that come without a trusted form, or it's just like a few of them?
Right. No, it's only a handful. It's only a handful. But we've got people who track. So we've got someone in the property space. They do, I don't know, about 5,000 leads a day. And so they want to make every lead count. I get it. It's every day that we get a list of 4 that don't have trusted form. But 4 is, I don't know, whatever, $50 or whatever the hell they're getting paid for it. So that's still money. At the end of the day, it's money. And so we love the fact that they were, and we couldn't quite work out for the life of us why Janea just works and trusted form doesn't. And so there's a tool that we use to add logging onto the front end, which is we log the behavior. We log the behavior on this thing here. The problem is very, very chatty, and it just loads tons of data, and if most of the time it just gets wasted. It's just needlessly just saving data for that. So because the issue was brought up, we added we separated the account and we added in the front end logging. And what we've since discovered that it actually is a trusted form problem. So because I was away last week and got a bit sick today, by tomorrow I'll have a post in the Facebook group and I'll tag everybody. And let's hound trusted form to get it fixed up, because it's affecting basically everybody globally, I guess. But what happens is because most people tolerate some fault rate, so they're like, hey, you know what? If I have 3% of my leads without trusted form, then I'll be okay. Or if I have 5% of my trusted form without the certificate, I'll be okay, or whatever it is. And so they've kind of factored that sort of stuff into the lead gen process. Unfortunately. We've not fortunately, it's fortunately, I should say, we've got people inside LeadsHook that are like, well, I need this to be 0, which is a fair comment and a fair call. So we were trying to work out why it's not 0, and we've since uncovered that it's actually a trusted form bug. So either they know about it, or it's not fixable, or something. But regardless, our job is to hound them because we've actually. I kind of ended up becoming trusted forms testing department because we kept assuming that it was something happening on the LeadsHook side, which didn't make any sense. Like my head dev kept saying, it's not us. It can't be us. If it was us, then we'd have many other issues across the platform. So it is limited to trusted form. So I said, well, let's prove it then. So that's why we added in front end logging, and we've got data to show now that it is trusted form that randomly fails. So yeah. So anyway, I believe it's about 3 to 4% of the time. So what people have done to accommodate for that is that they add scripts like on multiple nodes. So if there's one failure, they're hoping to catch it again. And that's one way to reduce it, but it's unfortunately, it's not very efficient because you're constantly making more and more API calls and all this sort of stuff. And so it's a very chatty, obviously affects page speeds because you've got multiple trusted form scripts running simultaneously. We saw one account, they got about, I don't know, about 12 trusted form scripts. And so they would obviously have page speed issues. So the better way to fix it would be for us to go to them and get them to fix it. Or what we'll do is worst case scenario, we have access to the script anyway. We'll just hack it and add it as a feature inside LeadSook itself. So you just, sort of come down to this part here, come here and have the compliance, maybe add a new tab here for compliance. And you just tick trusted form and that's it. And it just basically takes care of it. That way we can manage that retry and all that stuff programmatically rather than by adding multiple scripts everywhere. So we can check to say, well, did the field capture it? No, well, let's try again or whatever. So we can manage that a little bit better than you doing it needlessly. And plus that way we can give you a guarantee that we'll have 100%, basically capture. So there's zero failure. Yeah. So give us another week or so. We should have some way to resolve this permanently.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for the tool itself is actually this one here, Insomnia. Oops, not.
Not like a postman.
I guess if you use Insomnia, then you lose sleep too. Anyway, that's the
Yeah.
right.
If you're in the techie course, you can download
Yes.
Linux.
Yes,
templates.
it's just like Postman. Yes, the reason why I opted for this one is because in the course I wanted to give a free tool rather than a paid tool, so you can go ahead and use that. Yeah, so just like Postman, if you're using Postman, exactly the same thing. It's a Postman clone in a nutshell.
It's getting better and better now. If you've seen it, how it syncs up.
Yeah,
across
and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. So
Arsenal.
you go to yeah, just go download that, and that takes care of it. Now, if you are going to use if you already got Postman or you like using Postman, stick to that. I only opted for this one because there was a free version available, but otherwise, same thing. All right, cool. Any other questions or anything else that's popped up?
We're about to review reporting for our CPL reporting with our team, and it's way off from our Facebook reports. I think it might be due to time stuff and other bits that they're looking at.
Yeah.
What would you, in reviewing that kind of stuff, what would you look at to make sure it's all matching? And
yeah, so the first thing that I would look at is there's always a timing difference. So because, for example, you can set up a time zone preference here inside LeadSook, plus Facebook has one, and Facebook has its latency. And I'm not quite sure whether they report UTC, they report US time, or they report or whatever. So there would be some differences along the way. What I would do, and I've never done this, unfortunately, or if I did it, I can't remember the actual nuances of it, is to run a very short campaign, a very small campaign that runs at least 2 or 3 days. And all you're looking for is, just a handful of leads. And the purpose of that would be to just see what is the dates and times that are being reported inside Facebook of when the conversion happened, what dates and time you are seeing conversion inside LeadSook, and what dates and time you're seeing conversion in any third-party reporting tool that you might be using. And the reason to do that is over a 2-3 day period only, so you can isolate the problem, and I can go, well, okay, cool. So we finally understand that in order to make sure that our reporting is 100% on point, we can see that what LeadSook is showing, which is on Monday, Facebook's reporting that on a Sunday or a Tuesday or whatever the nuances are, and is reporting them at different times compared to when the actual conversion occurred, because you can do day parting and all that stuff. So once you've understood that, now you can really critically evaluate that the reporting that you currently have going on, is there any errors in it? Because you can't catch an error unless you know exactly what the delta is, right, or what the differences are. And so now you know what, because otherwise you're looking at the Facebook data and like, oh, it's only a timing difference. But at some point, that timing difference should reconcile, right? So so let's say if you stop all campaigns on a Sunday, by Tuesday or Wednesday, Facebook should have exactly the same results that LeadsHook is reporting, which is reported in GA, which is reported in HighRose or whatever other third-party tools that it might be using. Obviously, we don't shut off campaigns just for the reporting purposes, but in order to simulate that, you want to understand what's actually happening across time, so that you have confidence that when you are evaluating a live campaign, which is obviously much harder to do, you are aware of the nuance. You're like, okay, cool. Now I know that LeadsHook, because it reports real time, yada, yada, yada. I can see that we had 1,000 leads in LeadsHook. This should be cleared and available inside Facebook at this point in time in the ads manager. So you can filter for that date, time, whatever it is, and go, okay, cool. Where's the mismatch? And that should give you a lot of confidence that your tracking setup, including the server side and deduplication, all that stuff, is really running on point, and that you're not double counting stuff and all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, that reporting inside Facebook is not 100%. It doesn't necessarily give you, leads to download and compare. But if it did, and it gave you, for example, lead IDs and all that kind of stuff, it'd be great to then just download that. And then now you can see, well, hang on a second, I've got all these lead IDs on my side. These are the lead IDs on the Facebook side. Do they all sort of line up and match up, and we're not missing anything? So that's how I would actually go about doing it. Do it with a small campaign first, so you can quickly isolate the issues. And the whole purpose of the campaign is not necessarily to run leads through it, but just to understand the timing differences. Because without that understanding, it's really hard to work out, are you missing leads? Because what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh, Monday, LeadsHook shows, 35 leads. Why does Facebook only show 28? Or why is Facebook showing 45? And you're like, is it overcounting conversions? Is something wrong with my setup? And you go down the rabbit hole trying to find that something broken with the setup, when it's got nothing to do with the setup. It's just the way that Facebook reports in a different time scale, which if you knew, you would align it properly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you know that it's off, you can look at your reporting a different way. But then I guess you'd have to test it every few weeks just to make sure that Facebook hasn't changed again.
Oh no, what you would do is you would, I suppose Facebook's probably not going to change, and neither are we, because those things go to the heart of how the platform is developed. So I don't suspect there's going to be any changes at that level. But
Okay.
at least you have confidence that you have documented the process of when does stuff show up in system A and when does stuff show up in system B. And so rather than jumping to the conclusion that I've got double counting or I've got undercounting, let's get the time scale right first, because there's also a lag also in when the report is updated, right? For example, we're real time, Facebook's not. Like for example, I remember in GA, you'd see changes in half an hour. Sometimes you see changes in 4 hours. Most of the time, 4 hours was enough, but every so often it'd be 24 hours. And so if you had that kind of latency going around, you could easily be pulling your hair out, going, "Oh my God, you know what? It's been my reporting's off," when it's not. It was just a timing difference of when the Facebook batch process runs, or whenever the GA batch process runs, or whatever platform you're using, that they are going to be doing the updating and then have everything line up. So my guess is almost always give yourself 3 to 4 days in the future to look at 3-4 days in the past, rather than anything you're looking at real time. Don't unnecessarily jump to conclusions. As long as the numbers are on the ballpark, and you would know if you ran that small campaign, you would know that, okay, cool, there is a 10% timing difference between when Facebook reports, and I know that it usually corrects itself within 2 days. But if I'm looking at the data within let's say within 12 hours of the previous day ending, then I should be correct to 90%. And provided you're always 90% correct, then that's your benchmark. That if I'm so let's say LeadsHook shows 100 conversions, Facebook shows 90. Yep, that's good enough, because in 24 hours it'll be 100. Because maybe the conversions that happened in the last in the 24th hour or the 23rd hour was not going to be reported until much later in the day for you. So you would look at, let's say on Friday, you would look at conversions up to Tuesday or Wednesday or something, and then that should line up correctly. But without that deep understanding, you can really, go down the rabbit hole and waste hours of your life trying to reconcile why those differences are there, when that difference could be just a timing issue and not a real one.
Yeah, it's interesting. That makes it really difficult for the media buyers to make decisions.
But I would suspect that they would know this, but unfortunately, that's just the reality of running any platform. As long as you have it documented and you have an SOP or some sort of standard rule inside.
No, I mean real time decision. You really have to look at it from a 3-day window rather than a.
Correct. Yeah. No. If that's the case, then you'd be saying that. Listen, if you are going to be looking at real time data, then as long as you're 75% correct, that's good enough, and that shows a high level of confidence that it's actually okay. But let's say if that instead of 75% it runs to, let's say, 20%, then you got a problem. So while it's not so I would not tell the media buyer to needlessly don't do your checking until 3 days later. They obviously have to do real-time checking because that's the nature of the job, but they don't need to seek 100% correct, because you've got a campaign where you tested that by the end of the day, Facebook reports fairly accurately by the 12th hour post previous day. So if you're looking at anything pre the 12-hour mark, for argument's sake, then as long as you 90% correct, you're okay. But if you see that number at 80 or something, then you want to ring an alarm bell and look at it in much more detail. So that would be how I would do it.
CPL allowance of X within 24 hours, then you have
Correct. And so therefore you would allow for the volatility in your CPLs reported as well. But your real CPL would be what comes out of leads hook, because obviously you can it would not be, because obviously your cost numbers are also not updated inside Facebook. So what you'd look at saying that, well, if the day ends, then my CPL should be sitting at $100, but by the end of the day, when all the data is updated, it moves back down to 75. So as long as it's no more than 100, while a true CPL after a day or two is going to be 75, for argument's sake, at any point in time, whenever you're looking at your data, you should be no more than 100. If you're sitting at 150 or something, or 130 or whatever, then you know that that your final number is not going to be 75. It's going to be whatever, 80, 90, 100, which may not be acceptable. So as long as those rules of thumb are made aware, and you've got a that's sitting in a document, or at least a common understanding within the business, then that is good enough for anyone to do real-time media buying with, knowing that a day or two from now, everything will stabilize to the correct number. Cool.
Hey, Nick,
You do
I have one. Oh, go on. Sorry, John.
I'll say, what kind of time window do you normally look at when you're looking at ad platform?
From a financial standpoint, I mainly look at just 7 days. I would not look at anything daily is too volatile in most cases, unless you're running at scale, like really at scale. So like Facebook, like YouTube especially, so you're spending $2-3 million a month or something of that sort. Those numbers should be fairly stable, but weekly numbers are good enough. Obviously, what you're doing on a daily basis, that absolutely should be there, so that you know that your fake impressions haven't increased and all the other stuff. So at any point in time, if your media buyer were to look at your campaign, that you have your CPLs running no more than X dollars, for argument's sake, $100. If it's over 100, then ring an alarm bell. There might be something wrong. So that would be one way to look at it. The other, but then you want to track it on a weekly cycle. And the reason for the weekly cycle is, from a financial reporting standpoint, is it's a good balance. Daily reporting really puts a lot of pressure, especially, Josh, in your case, if you're running, let's say, 50 Facebook campaigns, and you're running, let's say 20 or 30, YouTube campaigns, adding TikTok and whatever else there is, you're wasting a lot of time just updating spreadsheets just for the purposes to get a CPL number. That doesn't really make any sense. So I would do the weekly cycle. The thing I shared in Techie or Finance
we do that with CPL point of view, then, but it's still it needs to be more frequent for the
Yeah, for the
Media
media
buying
buying
side.
purpose. No, fine, absolutely. Then in that case, come up with a benchmark number that is your upper limit, allowing for any timing differences that you have seen on your funnel. Jay, you had a question. Hi, Jay?
Sorry, Nick, I've unmuted. I didn't have a question. Thank you.
Sure.
I was gonna have I have a quick question. Well,
Derek.
one, I got two quick questions. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, no,
quick-
Eric, just 1 second. Jay was just about to ask something. Oh, sorry, Jay,
Okay.
you didn't have a
No,
question.
it was
Sorry.
Eric. It was Eric that was asking a question.
Sorry, Eric, over to you. Let's go.
Hey, is anybody seeing or having any issues with YouTube as far as quality of traffic? You know, getting hit by a bot or anything of that nature? Just
Yes.
quality wise?
Yes, at scale, you will see this in YouTube. I will share this slide, and so I will. You will see this at scale on YouTube. Where did it go? You will see this
Yeah.
at scale on YouTube. So let me just go full presentation mode here. All right. This is a live YouTube campaign. On this day, whatever, on this fateful day in March, it was almost 100%. Well, not quite 100, but like 95 of traffic was basically just fraud. So
Wow.
this is why you. So if you think about it, let's say you started a campaign here and your numbers are good, and because it's only 20%, and by the time you come here, it's gone to 60%. So you've basically, more than 20, 40, 60. That's almost a 3x increase in your CPL from here to here. I don't know too many people can sustain a 3x increase in the CPL and still be profitable. So what you've and nothing's changed. Like your offer hasn't changed, your traffic hasn't changed, nothing's changed except just the junk crap that's coming from YouTube has changed. So you want to keep, and which is why, to Joss's point, and to that, irrespective of what you're doing, you got to have a daily P&L. Now, if you are going to do this kind of volume, then perhaps spending 5 mil means you can have a VA who constantly updates spreadsheets, and they have the spreadsheet numbers available for you at 9 a.m. or whatever when you come online. And that would be just a cost of business to absorb. It would be an insignificant cost, actually, especially if you're running millions of dollars worth of traffic a month. Even if you're doing $100,000 a month, it's still, getting a VA to just update spreadsheets. It's well going to be worth it for you. So that way you can get your P&L. And so now you've got your benchmark numbers that you look at. So I think sorry, I'll just stop sharing here. I'll go through the whole thing next week. All right. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm referring to, that I've shared in the past. This is in the course. All right. So you've got the most important part here is obviously that's your sale price you put up there. You've got your ad spend here. This is for the week ending, let's say the Friday ending this. So by Monday, your numbers will adjust. The reason why we do this Friday, Monday thing is because by Monday or Tuesday, your refunds have been done, your rejections have been done, your dupes have been done, and all the other stuff's been done. And that actually shows up here. I've got a common field table here called returns, so you can actually just add that in here. And what that shows you is that like, that 6.4% of every, on a weekly basis, 6.4% is returned, giving you a real conversion of landed to leads of, let's say, 12%, for argument's sake, right? Now, as you track this on a week by week basis, obviously at some point, if you see this number like go up like crazy, like it goes from, let's say, 6 to 12% or something, or 6 to 15%, all of a sudden, there's a problem in your funnel. Because oftentimes you'll find this stuff out in hindsight. The only way to track it in real time is to what Joss is trying to do here, which is to track your numbers in real time. And the way to do it would be, now the important part here is that this is on an accruals basis or profit basis, not cash flow basis. Super important to do in the cash flow basis, on a profit basis. I'll explain why. And is because let's say if for argument's sake, on the 3rd of March, you had a client to call up saying, hey man, we had a API that broke, blah 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 blah. You've been sending a lot of shitty leads over the last 2-3 weeks. I want a refund for it or on a replacement for it. You're like, all right, no problem. You know, which ones are they? They give you the lead IDs or whatever it is. You know, you excuse me. You want to go and adjust it back in the week where that happened. So if on the 3rd of March you found out that there were 10 leads from week ending 17th March, you want to update 10 there. And if there's another 10 leads that were for the week ending 24th Feb, you want to add it over there. You don't want to add it in the week that you were notified. You want to add it, go back to when the lead was generated. You want to add it back there. The reason for that is because now you're aligning. Because on a cash flow basis would be today, but on a accruals basis, you want to go back in the period where the actual revenue, the income was generated, or allegedly was generated, and you want to go update that. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you're cheating because you've got refunds from prior weeks being reported this week. And so the previous week looks much more profitable than what it actually was. And so you want to make sure that you adjust that. So as you do this over a week by week basis and you move, across, let's say after a while, you've got 6 months of data or 12 months of data, you actually have a very, very good feel for, what your gross profits are, what your impressions are, what all your CPLs are, what your CTRs are across the board. Once again, this is a generically across the entire company, and you have a very good eye on the pulse. Obviously, you can split this up into a client basis, you can split it up into vertical basis, you can split it up into whatever way that you want. I just shared a generic format of how people should do it. In the case of Joss, because he's in, let's say, multiple verticals across multiple countries, I would do one of these per vertical per country.
Interesting. Did you do it? Do we have access to this spreadsheet?
Not as part of this. No. So that was in
Finance
tracking.
SOS,
I believe, yeah.
or tracking SOS.
So let me just see. Josh had a question. If leads are just crawlers, just hit with 1,000. Yeah, that
I was
does.
just saying to Eric. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eric, are you, when you say you had a heap of fake traffic, is this traffic you've paid for, or is it just like?
Yeah,
traffic
so that's
just
the
started?
thing. We paid for it with through running YouTube, right? We were running a
Yeah.
campaign, and we're just like, wait, what's going on? Consumers didn't even look like they were going to the landing page, right?
Yeah.
And then they were just dropping off immediately, and we couldn't figure it out. I mean, after I don't know what Jonathan, do you remember what the spend was?
A couple thousand.
Yeah, a couple $1,000, and it was just like it was crazy. But my point is, we couldn't figure it out, so we're just like, hey, we pulled out.
Right.
Yeah, YouTube
And-
will give you these random ass channels that have got nothing to do with what you're bidding on sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But you've got to do all those restrictions like Nick talked about. So country restrictions,
Yeah. So
and then feeding the data back in.
Yeah, I'll go through that in next week's call. If not, on one of the weeks, we'll go through that where I'll show you how you can use LeadsHook as almost like your thing to prevent fraud. And so I'll share some stuff what you can do. It's not perfect, obviously, but instead of getting jacked by 30% of fake traffic, you may say 15%. Google obviously knows this, and they have no desire to change, block it on their end. Because I guess quarterly earnings is much more important than
I get interesting. Okay, so you guys don't know, is that it's not you shouldn't be like trying to add new accounts or you know what I mean?
No.
Okay.
It could be purely just a function of, especially on YouTube. Especially on YouTube, we've seen quite a bit of that. So what obviously your first point of call is obviously to do something like this. So now you're tracking on a week by week basis, and then if there's anything that's not stable, it'll show up straight away. And the reason why I harp on this is because I'll kind of quickly cover this. There was an agency that I worked with. Every quarter they had this P&L would just jump like to 700,000, and it was and then 700,000 again. And what was happening was they had a client who was giving them 3 months of advance payment every quarter, and it was like one of their biggest client. So 50 or 60% of the revenue was getting booked like a quarter, 90 days in advance, and so they never had a cash flow problem. And when they showed me the P&L, which firstly they were making mistakes in how they're booking it. You should not be doing this. You should put it as a liability on your balance sheet, and then over time. as you invoice them to that's a better way of doing it, so that this shit doesn't happen like this. But anyway, they were doing the way they were, and as a result, they always have cash, right? Because the client's paying them 9 days in advance, so they got big bank balances all the time. So they never did any accruals-based reporting like what I showed here. They never did anything like this. So what ended up happening was one day they called me up and they done a review with me because they're looking to sell the agency. And I said, listen, you gotta start doing accruals-based profit reporting in this manner. In fact, the spreadsheet was created for them actually originally, and like, oh no, we'll be okay. We've been doing it for 5 years, blah 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 blah. And then one day they called me up. They said, oh, we got a bill for $800,000 to Google, and we don't have any cash left. And what happened was this happened. A ton of fake traffic. The media buyer only looked at what was showing in the dashboard. The media buyer was not looking at the refunds that were being issued by the sales department. So the sales department was obviously issuing the refund. Because a client would call up saying, hey man, I got 25 fake leads. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just credit the account with 25 leads. But the media buyer doesn't know that, because obviously media buyer doesn't have access to this. Media buyer is looking at just this level, a ROAS level. And unfortunately, it's below the ROAS line or below the gross profit line is where the money is bleeding. So he has no visibility of this. And that's why in making the spreadsheets, they should be discussed with the media buyers as well, so they get a better understanding of what the true numbers are post all the refunds and all that other stuff. Obviously, if you really want to go ninja level, you can actually add in an allocation for overheads here and so on and so forth. So you can actually get a net profit per lead, and that would be adding in your business costs and all that sort of stuff as well. But once again, no need to go down to that level if you don't want to. But this is an absolute bare minimum. Because should any shenanigans happen below the gross profit line, you'll capture it. And the media buyer is aware of what's happened, because otherwise he's like, I'm good. Everything's going okay. ROAS numbers are great, except they're not, because the rejections don't show up inside the ads manager account, or at least in their case, it didn't, which leads to offline conversions. So whenever this happens, the question I ask a lot of people is, okay, cool. So how many of these are going back as offline conversions, as in non-conversions now? And the answer is no one. So therefore your ads manager is just reporting crap anyway, right? So, or at least
is there any way to do live profit reporting, Nick, with like
I don't know of any tool per se. The only thing I do know is maybe just doing spreadsheets like this. I guess this is with Airtable and APIs and all that sort of stuff. Maybe there's already integrations available inside Facebook and Google to pull the data in. Once again, it's the data pulling part is not the big deal, because let's say if you've got 10 accounts and you've got a VA that has got access to view all the accounts, they can just log in and just pull the numbers out of what happened in yesterday's account and just quickly update it. So I'm not convinced that paying like $4,000 a month now for some super duper automated tool is really going to be the answer here, when I think just getting someone on Upwork for $5 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever it be, to just log into these various accounts and updates for you on a daily basis, if that's what's needed, would be great. And then that way in your morning meetings or whatever, whatever the daily cadence is for talking with the team, that this is actually brought up and discussed. But Google Sheets are great because you can also fire automations of the numbers. So let's say if this number jacks, so let's say today's number when it gets updated, and for argument's sake, let's say that number was like 10% now, you can have an automation that says that if this number is above 10%, then fire a Slack message to notify everybody as a warning system. So you can actually set up Google Sheets and necessarily look at it until something steps out of bounds. So you could do it, your GP steps out of bounds, your return steps out of bounds, your CTR steps out of bounds, your real conversion step out of bounds. And you could do that across all of that and just have the automation set up. That way all the VA does is just log in, update the numbers, and immediately any variances that are outside acceptable range is immediately brought up to a Slack channel, and the Slack channel could be like you could name the channel like, you know, DEFCON 1 or something, and that way it is DEFCON 1, because if you see anything in that channel, okay, drop everything. That's all hands meeting. What the hell's going on?
Well, Nick, then
Yeah.
how do media buyers, or how do you solve that problem then? If you're, like I said, we'll just use YouTube, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
YouTube, Google, whatever. I mean, obviously Google search type of traffic is the best, but you know, if you're trying to find scale and you're running YouTube, you know, ads, shorts, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get it look like I whatever your screen was, it's 20
fake
to
traffic.
60% fraud.
Yeah.
You know, we were dealing with, we weren't even getting consumers to fill out forms. I mean, or
Yeah.
the whatever was clicking on our link
Ad.
wasn't even who knows what it was. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Is there any way to identify that, and is there any solutions, or do you just kind of bake this into the cake?
Right. Yeah. So the first solution is to be aware this is happening, and when it happens, you then can the media buyers immediately get notified to turn down the campaigns, i.e., bring the budgets down or start bring the bids down, and that would be one automation that you could set up. So that way you don't turn off your campaigns. So nothing gets paused or shut down, except your bid amounts starts getting reduced or whatever the mechanism you're using. Obviously, if you're using PMax or some one of those sort of automated AI type campaigns, then you might have to turn it off. But
Nick,
yeah, sorry.
I think he's asking how would you identify it? What would we actually look at?
Yeah, so the first thing would be the numbers like this. We are offering more custom fields inside LeadSource itself for fraud, but all of these fraud custom fields are not 100%. So I don't worry, in the next week or two, as I go through these presentations, I will share with you ways in which you can identify that, because you can branch people off and ask them different questions. You can add in checkbox that are hidden from humans. So if someone fills that up, then it obviously is the bot, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of techniques you can add in to identify that traffic is fraud or fake. But the true number is, and then the other one is building audiences with your fake traffic. So all these fake leads, the returns and the fake traffic, should be getting sent back as a conversion event with a different label or different parameter, and then you add those as exclusions or negative audiences. So you tell Google, I want less of these people, and that's one way. That's one way to train the AI not to send you that. Those types of people. Yeah. So I'll be sharing that.
If you look at your data at the top, look at the data at the top of your unfilled out people, and if they're all from a different country than what you're actually doing,
correct,
use that as a negative audience. Use that as a decision node that then goes to a negative audience node.
So this is Facebook data. In this example, the guy's racking his head going, every time I scale, I lose money. So he came to me and they were like changing headlines and all that shit. And I said, hang on a second, let's just go back to ground zero. Are you even seeing traffic from New Zealand? He goes, what do you mean? And I said, yeah, you do know that Facebook's not perfect and it does send you crap outside the country. He goes, really? Yeah. So we pulled the data out. 70% of traffic from New Zealand, 30% of traffic outside the country. Right. And so therefore they as a percentage, that's huge, because 30 over 70, right? And so there's a lot of money being wasted on this particular funnel. So the way you fix it is, as Josh mentioned here, one of the things I recommend. A lot of people set up their Facebook campaigns where they will include the US or include whatever your area is, but you don't exclude everybody else. So you want to exclude everybody else is the answer here. Or
What's
one of
the
so it's a layered approach. So it's a layered approach. So it's not like do this one thing, fix it. You do negative audiences, you do geo-targeting better, so on and so forth. And so that way, after you do, plus you add fake forms in there, you add in, hidden elements of page elements in there. So the bot will see it, or the fake person will see it, but the real person won't, and all that kind of stuff. And so usually you don't want to use the hidden HTML tag. You want to use an HTML tag that says something like white or something. So obviously it's there, but it's not visible to the naked eye. but the machine will see it. And that's yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying, Nick, is it'll eventually, if you do this properly, it'll eventually learn that
Correct.
that type of traffic doesn't work, and it's going to start
Correct.
sending you maybe
Correct.
hopefully real traffic, real
Correct.
conversions.
Correct. At scale, yes, absolutely. There's
Interesting.
because I guess the real answer is Google, just stop sending me shit. but
Totally.
but that's not going to happen. So we got to find other ways to do it, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Unfortunately, yeah. There's no way around that, because like obviously Google knows this is rubbish, because like I remember this one time, we looked at all the placements that YouTube was running on, like all the channels, and they were running like channels that were like 2 days old in Arabic and stuff like that for a US English funnel. And like, how does this even happen? It's not like, and so what all Facebook or Google in this case, I guess, is relying on the fact that you're just not aware, or the algos are so imprecise to do that. But the point is, like, if you've got billions of dollars in AI, at least you can get that right. So you have those kind of situations. So here you go. I'll share this one. So I'll share this one here, right? It's called Vesflux. Flux. It was a scam that was run, where what the scammers did is it was a malvertising campaign, where when you would land on a page, so let's say in this case it was display ads, they would video ads that were displayed on, for example, a third-party site. They would basically stack video on video on video on video on video and click all of those, and so you were literally paying for impressions that nobody was ever going to see. So the entire thing was just automated. Is they're chewing up your impressions, but then it was like one impression per page. They were injecting multiple creatives on top of each other. So
Wow.
you're basically paying for millions of impressions that they themselves are visiting to chew up impressions. And the classic example. Now, this stuff is super hard to catch. In fact, you can't catch it because it's so sophisticated. It's so new. And I guess AI just makes all these problems worse. And so the way to do it would be to do this sort of a thing, where you're staying on top of your numbers. You won't be able to pinpoint exactly what happened, but at least it gives you an indication that, oh, hang on a second, this just went bad for us. Let's turn our campaigns off. Let's pause our campaigns. Let's turn them down, whatever. Now let's go ahead and look at what the impression data shows, and so on and so forth. What all the custom fields, what the geo data shows, and all that sort of stuff. And that would then start telling you at that point, like, this is investigative work. In terms of an automated solution, the things that I've shared, they would be largely what you would do. But nevertheless, you never really stop not doing this, because my concern with a lot of this stuff is always, what's the stuff that I've missed that's going to bite me, and how do I find that out? And you can only find that out by doing this analysis. So while based on our best educated guesses and our learning, all that sort of stuff, we've eliminated the problem to our best of our knowledge today, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow some new player comes in and runs a new malvertising campaign or something of that sort that is going to chew up a lot of our ad dollars that we have not been able to catch until now. And so I suppose the way that you catch that is you have your metrics. Well, this is probably the most important spreadsheet that anyone will ever do in the media buying game. And it's astonishing to me how many businesses I know that actually don't have anything even remotely basic or as this. They've got millions of dollars sitting in ads manager spend, but they don't have anything that is reconciling your profitability versus cash flow. So yeah, do this as a step 1, not a step 10. Because the point is, once it's part of your DNA, everybody knows what you're looking at. You've set up your triggers, and you can actually sleep at night knowing that should these numbers jump wherever, let's say if your gross profit jumps or your returns jump or your CTR jumps or whatever jumps, or declines, in the case of profit metrics, you get triggered a warning. And that's the whole point, right? You want to be notified when things go outside of normal. And I would go the other way as well. So if my gross profit, let's say there's a losing campaign here, but let's say if I can say there's 30% gross profit. If it goes below 25, I want to be notified. But if it goes above 35, I want to be notified as well. Because that may indicate that maybe there's a mistake in the data entry here. Like the person forgot, like they did a typo. Instead of putting 10,000, they put 1,000. And that notifies you as well. So you want to catch both sides.
Sure.
Yeah, obviously, you know, if it is real, then yeah, bank the money. But you just want to make sure that you've got your bands in place. And that way, it makes running the business pretty easy. You have someone who just logs in, updates all the stuff, and you get notified something goes outside of range.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Appreciate it, Nick.
No, no problem, man. Anytime. Thanks for asking. All right, guys. Any more questions?
Quick question. What should be a good or bad speed test, like on a page?
Should we have a good page speed test?
Yeah.
Okay, if you've got GTM and a whole bunch of other stuff lying on it, you know, 50 plus is good enough. You won't find any page build out there that even goes above that. Once you load up GTM and all the other stuff. So the 20s and 30s is probably you want to improve that. But I would not get overly obsessed about it for a couple of reasons. The first one is that we're all sitting on 5G networks now, at least in the US and Australia and in the big Western countries now. So the actual impact is not there. But obviously, if you're sitting at 5, 10, 15 or something, move it up to 30 or 40. But don't think that it's the be all and end all of everything. I find sometimes because people aren't aware of fraud, they're not aware of copy, they're not aware of the other bits and pieces of a funnel. That's their hammer. Like, oh yeah, my world's ending because I don't know the world's fastest website. And that's not true. Yes, improving it does matter. If you're above 50, focus on other low-hanging fruit. Of course, if you've got nothing else to work on, then yeah, try and get the 50 to 80 or 90 or whatever. But that would not be my first, especially if you first start out a campaign. Like going to 90-95 is probably going to be a waste of time unless you've got a techie on your team that their job is just to work on that, in which case, fine, get them to work on that. But that's what I would be looking at. It's a relative measure, not an absolute one. And you need to weigh that up against all the other priorities that you're currently trying to fix in your funnel, especially if it's a brand new funnel. And think about it, people still use ClickFunnels version 1, which is just atrocious. And so in terms of page speed, nothing as a product, I've never used it, so I can't speak about the product per se. I've seen the same thing with the GHL pages. They are awfully slow. But we've got plenty of people who do quite well. Yeah. So in that case, once they've ruled out everything else, then come and fix that. Yeah. But to me, like just pick a good enough page speed, so that way you don't needlessly waste money and then get to that. So sort of aim for like a 50 or 60, good enough. Move on to the other priorities. Such as like you're saying, let's say if your YouTube ads aren't working properly, that better to spend time on that than getting obsessed about page speed, because fixing page speed is not going to solve your fraud problem, if argument's sake, if that is the issue.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it's the game I've realized is the longer I play it, is knowing what to work on today is probably the hardest decision you'll make. Yeah, we get that a lot. Why is it so slow and it's sitting on a GHL page or some other page builder? Yeah. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, we'll this is supposed to be a short call. We'll do it same time, same place. I've got some outstanding stuff that I've posted, people have posted in the Facebook group, so I'll get those resolved tomorrow morning. But we'll go and try and have some ginger tea and go to bed.
Hey,
Nice one,
Nick,
Yeah.
for next week, definitely interested in relooking at click to call as well. If you
Okay, fine.
food
Done.
for thought.
Done. Absolutely. So what sort of questions do you have there? Execution of
Just
it, or the funnel
just
design?
the funnel, look, I'll stick with home services for now, right? So
Okay. Well, I'll tell you
let's-
what. You know what? We'll jump on the call. Share your URL. I'll bring it up on the page, and I'll break it. Let's break it down.
cool. Okay,
All right. Done.
sounds good.
Right.
All right.
Awesome, guys. We'll chat next week. Same time, same place. Otherwise, have a lovely week, and we'll chat to you next week.